My name is Alma, Abdul Hadi Jadalah.
And I'm Faria Khan, the Alumni Outreach Intern, and today we'll be talking to her about her experience at ICAR. So, what brought you to ICAR in the beginning?
I started to think about George Mason University. I had moved here from Geneva, Switzerland, and because of proximity, George Mason was the most convenient for me. And then I started by just enrolling in a graduate course, and I stumbled into the conflict resolution field by taking the 501, the Introduction to Conflict Resolution. And since then, I was hooked.
Okay, so what exactly about the class was intriguing to you?
I think the interdisciplinary nature of the coursework was quite fascinating, and then also the paradigm shift in kind of thinking about problems and analysis and thinking truly about the world differently.
What was your focus when you got your doctorate?
My focus, I wrote about the role of conflict resolution practitioners post 9/11. So I treated 9/11 as a critical event.
Okay.
I wanted to see how did it impact how we think about our work, how we applied it, and how we felt about it.
And what class do you teach now?
I teach actually 2 graduate courses in the certificate program, and I have taught also other classes, but mainly one on integrating approaches in the conflict resolution field, and the other one is advanced skills.
Okay, interesting. And so what skills do you think were the most important skills that you learned at ICAR?
I think the first skill is about really understanding yourself and what you bring to the field of conflict analysis and resolution. You also learn how to sharpen some of the things that God has given you, listening, speaking about issues, dialogue with other people. And so these, I think, are quite important skills for any practitioner: self-reflection and literally using all the gifts that you have and leveraging them for the field in general.
Okay, so it's really about the individual first, and then using the individual to apply these skills to understanding conflict on a larger scale.
That's a very interesting perspective. Yes, I think if you start with the individual, because you have control over yourself, and then once you understand who you are and what you represent and your role in the environment that you're in and the context that you're working in, then you can absolutely take it from there and start looking on where you're working, how you're collaborating, who are the people you mix with, how you understand them, how they understand you, what you'd like to impact, and then the story goes on.
So your experience as like an immigrant in America, for example, you think
yes, I would.
How did that shape your like conflict scope and perspective?
Well, my heritage is from Palestine and Jordan, and so from the Arab world, and the Arab world has always been impacted by local and international conflict. So definitely it had an impact. But also as an immigrant, I think ICAR represented integration, being part of a community, and literally offering me a forum to kind of speak to the things that I enjoy and to really think of myself in a more valuable way as an immigrant. I can initiate the change that I'd like, and I can be part of it. Plus, it created a learning community because of the people it attracts in the student body, like yourself.
Yeah, it is really interesting, the different mesh of people. What else I wanted to ask you is, besides your teaching, you have your own mediation services, right?
I have my own practice. It's a woman-owned firm, and in collaboration with former ICAR students, and we've come together. The name of my company is Common Denominator, spelled with a K, and we offer consultations on the national and international level.
I'm interested to know, why does it start with a K?
It started with a K. Actually, it's not really rocket science. We were trying to register the company, and every registration starting with a C did not go through on the web. So the easiest address was to have it with a K. And it became a brand for the company.
Oh, yeah?
It branded the company. It worked very well for us.
So who do you focus in giving these services, or providing these services?
It's a good question. We actually think of it in general, not just specific areas, because the categories, as you know, the field is quite interdisciplinary. So the skill sets, to go back to your question, allow us to work on the community level, on organization, on the international level. So we have not-for-profits that we have provided consultation for. We have provided consultations for corporations. We've also been subcontractors with contractors directly with the government. So it's kind of interesting because the skill set we bring can actually be leveraged on all of these levels. I use, and our team, we use social science research to kind of implement our work and go forward from there.
So do you guys yourself do social science, like case studies?
Well, every company or every organization we work with, or every client is a case study by him or herself, right?
Okay,
Or the work that they bring. But when I meant social studies, like conducting interviews, conducting focus groups, evaluation, assessments, and then, as you know, ICAR prepares you very well to be a third party in any situation. So we literally play that role. We go in, we do facilitation, we do mediation, we teach, we educate, but we also get educated by our clients.
Okay, so another skill that ICAR has taught you is that you're constantly learning in this field.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because we go in, actually on our website, one of our very important values is that we work with people, not for people.
Okay, interesting. Because I was reading online that you guys also try to offer services to minority groups.
We have worked on issues of race, we have worked on issues of gender, women's leadership, but I'd like to add something we are very proud of. We give 10% of our profits back into the communities. And so we actually feel very strongly that even if we take, we give back. And that has been actually played very well for us.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad that's working out. So your skills now that, your skill set is to be neutral. You're very focused on the community and the individual and that dynamic.
Well, actually, we like to think of our work not more as neutrality, because it's kind of hard to feel neutral when you have an opinion about something, but we actually feel we're quite impartial. We don't take sides. Actually, we empower both groups to be able to come together to the table, to work together, to speak to one another. And so impartiality is probably a more accurate word, the way we understand our work.
Okay. I'm just interested to know, so by being impartial, these conversations you have with people, do you think it flourishes better with you as a third party?
Absolutely, but we have to earn that status. It doesn't come immediately. They have to trust that you are the right person, that you are well equipped to do it, that you have their interest in mind, that you will also take responsibility for the work that you do with them, and actually you become part of the solution with them.
That's interesting. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing all of this information with us.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing more of your work.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay. My advice for people who are coming into the program is to really understand why they would like to be part of it. It's not like any graduate program where it is very hard science. This really will have to depend on you building your own toolkit in your practice and leveraging all the knowledge that you have to develop your own style and your own approach to thinking about the field and how you come across as a practitioner and as a third party. And so my advice is, if you really understand yourself and why you're here, or even if you come without knowing and allow yourself to learn from the experience and the people that are working with you, you will find that you will develop an art and a science, and you will gain the science through the reading and the education that ICAR can give you, and then you develop your own art in how you apply it and who you become.
So in your experience, in your travel, and in promoting your work, how has ICAR and its reputation, your affiliation with ICAR, how has that helped you facilitate your success?
ICAR has a phenomenal reputation, and people recognize it. It has been branded already. And so I find that just by my mere degree and saying that you have a doctorate in the field of conflict resolution, and the granting institution is the Institute for Conflict Analysis and Resolution, it resonates with people. They recognize it, they understand that it has a very big name. One of the funny things, they recognize how important ICAR is, but it's almost anecdotal sometimes. And then they say, so what is it exactly that you are taught, and what does that look like? So we still have to work with people to kind of educate them on what the field represents. but it has a very, very outstanding reputation, quite impressive. And we leverage this. We have it on our website. We are graduates in the field. When we go market, we actually brag about being a consultancy firm with an association with an academic institution, so that gives us a lot of strength. And so we feel actually quite privileged to have that association.
Okay, so you've made some connections like internationally through ICAR, with the help of ICAR?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, one of the things you do as a person is you leverage your own human capital or your own connections and network. And then when you get the association with an institution, you are actually better equipped to kind of go and speak. So you're not the individual, you actually present more than that. Also, if you think of research and practice and theory, you have all the resources that a university setting can give you, including human capital, including resources, including the expertise that people like yourself and I can bring, from the multicultural communities that we represent, from the local experiences, of people who grew up here to people who were born in different parts of the world. And so definitely that is a privilege to have. And it makes you feel proud that you could actually combine both of them.
So would you say that ICAR helps facilitate the success through exploring this field that's more like uncharted territory in the academic world by starting to look at this multicultural identity and like the dynamics of it within society?
I think ICAR has a niche by looking at the deep-rooted sources of conflict. Okay, where were we?
The deep-rooted, like...
Oh, okay. ICAR is exceptional because by the mere makeup of the students who come, and George Mason, of course, also has a lot of leadership on the diversity of its student body. And so by the lens by which it applies its theoretical frameworks, but also you can think of it the reverse. I was speaking with Dr. Andrea Bartoli yesterday, and he's also encouraging us to kind of bring our practice to inform the theory. And so this intersection, I think, is very, very important, and on issues of identity, on issues of race, on issues of culture and conflict, ICAR definitely represents a lot of that.
Okay. So what are some of your plans for the future now?
I would like to actually strengthen my relationship with the institution over the years, but also be able, as a small woman-owned firm, to actually leverage more of the student body. Some of them are my colleagues, so I'd like to, they become your colleagues as you're teaching, is to kind of expand this network of practitioners within the university and within the practice of conflict resolution, and keeping, my own business along with my colleagues and partners robust. Also to see how we can integrate that kind of work in countries of origin where we come from. How can we become also active in our communities overseas and give the field a reputation that is strong and develops trust, and also encourage people to come more and be part of this new science, or forward-thinking science.
I am also wondering if you can expand a little bit more on your relationship with alumni and how that has helped your work.
Yeah. Because of the size of ICAR, it's not an overwhelming big school. And because it's an institute, let's say it that way. Can we repeat this? Because you want to, or you edit it later? Okay.
Yeah.
Because ICAR is an institute that is not in the thousands. I mean, it's a select group of people very competitively get enrolled in the program and become part of that community. The relationship of the alumni is quite strong. But they personally, like I said, my business partners are from the alumni. They are my colleagues in the past. They were my classmates. But also when we've had special projects, we have actually invited other alumni to work with us. We also work collaboratively with other alumni who have set up their own firms or business, so we work together. When we get referrals, we kind of give them and pass them around and share them with one another. So you have this whole network of people. First of all, we share the same language. one, and then we're exchanging ideas about our practice and seeing what has worked and what has not worked. Plus, we have also become a resource of support. We promote each other in the public sphere. And so I think it's the relationship with alumni has been actually very, very enriching. It's still a small body, and because of the correlation with the growth of the field, but I think it's quite promising.
I'm curious, how often do you run into like other people in the field that come from different institutions? Like,
believe it or not, on an airplane sometimes. I mean, you're traveling and you sit next to someone. It happened to me one time coming from Austria, and I sat next to someone, coincidentally turned out to be a graduate of ICAR.
Really?
Yeah, but I think what is interesting, you find that either people know about the program, or they know someone who is going through the program, or someone who would like to be part of the program. And so it's not necessarily just an alum, meaning someone who holds a degree, but someone who has taken a course through George Mason as an elective. So for example, I teach at other institutions around the world, and I teach at other institutions in the US. So, you know, I represent ICAR in different ways when I do that. Even within George Mason University, I teach at other departments. And so you find this cross-section broadens our network and the people we know and the people we interact with.
so you feel confident in the networking that ICAR has allowed you to have?
Yes, I'm confident, but you have to work hard at it. ICAR doesn't do it for you. You have to be involved with the student body. You have to be involved in the, brown bag lunches, working groups. You have to let your faculty know what you are interested in. I think it's very important that you are proactive about what you want to do with all of this. People are not going to come to you. You have to be proactive about this because of the Washington metropolitan area and the schedules and where people are.